Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer Podcast midweek special coming at you with the Qooligan, as always, wearing his Crystal Palace non-shirt, but it's Crystal Palace merch, and myself, Gary Striker. Qooligan, we've got an interesting set of an agenda today.
It's a little unconventional, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it because it's as the soccer world is very big, broad, and wide, and we're going to cover quite a lot of it today. And
Indeed.
so that's I'd say we just jump right in.
Just get into it. Yeah.
Starting with our hemisphere.
Yes.
So we're gonna keep and our own confederation. So
Indeed. Yeah. So we're going to cover CONCACAF. We'll touch obviously on the MLS stuff, and then also we're going to touch on the FA Cup fifth round results, and then also look forward there. And then
because there's so much to say about the FA.
There is so much. There's FA. There is the FA. There's a joke in there somewhere. So let's get into it. So we have the CONCACAF round of 16. We're kind of in the middle of the thick of it, where we had leg ones, and those were played yesterday. Some were played yesterday, some are being played today, and then obviously we have the Miami Cavalier game that on tomorrow, which is Thursday. So where do you want to start, Q? Where do you want to start?
I mean, let's start with Tuesday, right? Because there were three fixtures on Tuesday. The one that really jumped out at me, made my eyebrows rise, was FC Cincinnati, who were hosting Tigres. Out of the Liga MX, and let's just say it was an explosive affair early, and then it just kind of like died down. But because it was a 1-1 draw, which is a fantastic result for Cincinnati. The Liga MX teams are strong. They're strong teams. They're physical teams. They play, and so historically, the U.S. clubs and the MLS clubs don't always perform strongly against them, and so anytime a Liga MX team falls to an MLS team, it's a bit of a kerfuffle, so to speak. And everybody gets, wow, look what happened! Woo! How excited! So good on you, Cincy. Now you just got to go down to Mexico and seal the deal. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the other two results were not unexpected. Pumas beat Alajuelense. That was a 2-0 one. And then, of course, LAFC, they actually kind of pummeled Columbus. Not that LAFC LAFC are obviously a quality team, but Columbus is usually strong, and they just didn't. That's not good. I think that they kind of shot themselves in the foot, Columbus. Not seeming to have a great season right now, so they're just having a bit of a rough start. So it goes.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not happening. A little bit rough there. That's understandable. Can I just?
You know what? I have to correct myself, because I went and looked. I'm wrong. No, Columbus actually is off to a great start in league. They just didn't do. They just kind of messed up against LAFC.
Maybe
they don't care about CONCACAF. Who knows?
Well, maybe they're prioritizing. Maybe also the fact
seems
that
a little early, but sure, let's go with that.
That's possible, right?
Yeah.
So, and then just my understanding as well, like LAFC are quite a new franchise. So they seem to be, I don't know how many years old they are, but they seem to have like really sort of aggressively started well, and obviously sort of pushing themselves up there as well, right? They are a pretty solid team, right? I know they have some good players as well, right in there. I know they obviously have, Olivier Giroud used to play for LAFC.
Olivier Giroud.
Yeah, he still plays for them as well, right? Yeah, there he is. He was on the bench, and he didn't actually feature. But yeah, obviously big fan as well. Very, very, very elegant player. So yeah, they are a well-run franchise by the looks of it as well.
Okay. They've been in the league 7 years, right? So if you had read the article on Hooligan-Soccer.com, which talks about the LAFC preview. No, they have 6 out of their 7 seasons. Obviously, they're in the 8th season now. 6 out of their 7 seasons, they've made playoffs, and that's a fantastic run. I mean, It doesn't really get much better. They've already won an MLS Cup. They've won a U.S. Open Cup last year, right? And they won the Supporters Shield for best record in 2019 and 22. So, yeah, they're good.
They're good. Yeah, no,
There's quality
pretty...
there. There's quality there, and I mean, it also shows in their ownership group, right? I mean, they have
some celebs in there. Obviously, I know Will Ferrell's a part.
It's
Will
LA.
Ferrell of it. Yeah, it's LA, it's Hollywood as well, and there's the draw, and obviously they can attract, World Cup winning talent like Olivier Giroud and other players that like and sort of go and compete. And especially when you have Galaxy against that as well, it's competitive in that sense. But yeah, interesting.
It is, and Galaxy are no slouches.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they've won the MLS Cup 6 times.
They have.
And they were one of the original founding clubs of the MLS. But still, no, it's actually kind of fun to have two really, really good teams in that same geographic locale with a true organic rivalry. And I don't want to get into which is the real LA team. Don't start. You're not going to bait me into that debate.
Well, I feel as though we're swearing into MLS territory. So let's just stick with the CONCACAF.
Let's stick with CONCACAF.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had LAFC, obviously, as you say, beating Columbus 3-0, and then the Pumas, and then the games and then obviously the other side of LA, we have that LA game coming up this evening, and then obviously as well Guadalajara, and so which picks do you want to talk about? Those games?
I mean, I don't really have much of a stake in the Guadalajara America match. Yeah. I think it's okay. The Sounders versus Cruz Azul is fascinating one. Sounders historically do very well in CONCACAF. So this is a competition that from a club perspective, they have a lot of pride in excelling in. So they're really, and Cruz Azul is a tough draw. That is a really solid team. And so I think this might not be Sounders' year for CONCACAF. I think Cruz Azul, if Sounders can hold them to a draw in Seattle where they're playing tonight, that will be a major victory. I don't think they're going to win, and I think Cruz Azul is almost unbeatable at home. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be tough.
Beatable at home. That's a bold statement.
Oh,
they are.
No, they are. They're out of. Listen, Cruz Azul is Mexico City's team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're the working man's team out of Mexico City, and you do not go into their stadium lightly.
We should go down there. We should absolutely go down there and watch a game there, and even sort of do some stuff around it. That would be fun. That would be really fun. Okay, and then Vancouver, Monterrey. This is obviously
Canada, this is another one.
Mexico.
It's like this is. I mean, again, it will not be broadcast in the United States, but Whitecaps are. Listen, they've got some mojo working for them right now, so they could topple, and they already I think overperformed in their initial round. They should do well here. I think they could take Monterrey at home, and then the last one is like you said, LA Galaxy. They have to travel down to San Jose, Costa Rica, to play Herediano, who knocked out Real Salt Lake in dramatic fashion last week. So will we see yet another giant killing? Because in a way, any San Jose club, any Costa Rican club beating a club outside of Central America is unusual. Mm-hmm. It's not the norm. So, and then you mentioned it, the big game on Thursday, the one that everybody's talking about.
Well, yeah. Will
Inter Miami?
Will the traveling circus, as we joke, but will the GOAT be traveling? And what?
Well,
not traveling. Sorry, it's at home. It's at home. Forgive me. Will they be traveling? You will have a lot of Jamaican fans traveling, obviously, over from Kingston into Miami. I know that direct flight very well, and made it a couple of times as well. So that were pretty easy. Sort of hop over the sea. You'd expect there Miami would probably pretty much confidently sort of steamroll over Cavalier here as well. But again,
I'm going to be honest. I have not seen 1 minute of any Cavalier game, and I know nothing about the team other than they were the Caribbean champion, so they had a bye.
Yeah. Okay, so they get through there.
They had a bye, and so they haven't even played yet. So I've got nothing. This is a complete unknown to me. I'm actually kind of excited to watch and see how they do. Yeah. I mean, it's not like Jamaica doesn't have a talent pool. Of course they have a talent pool. Their national team is depending on the year, can be extraordinarily strong.
Yep.
So, there's every reason to expect that Jamaica might be able to bring it. And if Inter tries to be cagey about it and be like, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't, maybe they'll play some reserve kids at the home fixture, see what happens, and then expect to fly in the A team down to Kingston and make a meal out of it. I don't know.
Into the national stadium, which they've had to upgrade to obviously get sort of more capacity. Sure. So yeah. Now the question is do you think that if Messi does travel on that return fixture, or if he does not travel, should I say, do you think that the Cavalier hierarchy will be refunding tickets as seemed to happen over the past weekend, which is we're going to have to unpack this one a little bit, because Mike, what the hell was that?
The answer is no. They are not going to refund tickets. But I think Messi plays. I think he goes to Kingston and plays. I don't know if he plays this fixture, but I think he plays the away fixture.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Because I think also unless it's a complete blowout, right? Unless they just completely annihilate Cavalier and it's done, then yeah, he'll play.
Yeah.
And yes, what you said about refunding tickets, this did occur in Houston over the weekend when Messi did not even board the plane.
Traveled, yeah. And is it
did not even deign to leave Florida?
He was too busy having fun on South Beach. What was it? Is he injured? Do we know if he's injured or he's not even injured?
No, but he played 3 games in 7 days. He was in 3 fixtures in 7 days, excluding with some extreme cold. Played full games.
Yeah, scored. Yeah.
Dude, he's old. Sorry.
Yeah.
Age.
So this is really what you think it is actually sort of, player management. Managing is managing him and sort of doing it. And that's significant. I mean, obviously his career, as we know, as the GOAT, I don't think we need to go too much into that, but it's interesting to actually see this begin to happen now, where his actual sort of playing time gets managed a little bit, and just to protect him, because the worst thing is if, again, I think he's definitely got one eye on the Club World Cup for sure, but then I think he probably wants to go to the World Cup as well. They say to defend his title, but probably stay in the show a little bit longer. And so this is what it is. So, but it's a dangerous precedent almost with Houston Dynamo refunding tickets because Messi
not a precedent. Not a precedent. Happened twice before.
It's happened twice before. Explain, please. Tell me when this has happened before.
Well, Gary, because some of us do our research before we get on
there
these
it
calls.
Is. There it is.
You were waiting for it. You were waiting for it.
Every damn episode, isn't it?
Yeah, someone did their homework for it.
I never did.
Somebody did. No, this, Chicago Fire and Vancouver Whitecaps have both did ticket refunds in last year when Messi did not go and attend and play. So Houston was not the first. They were the first this season, but they were not the first in the MLS to initiate. Whether they're not refunds, okay? Let's be very clear. They didn't refund tickets. They just gave everybody who attended the option to get a free ticket for a later game.
Okay, so there's
Let's
some.
Be very clear about what happened.
Prints,
they didn't say, "Here's your money back."
Yeah,
no. Because you paid to see the game, you still saw a game, you saw your team get your ass whipped, but they got creamed.
So was it the Messi reason, or was it because they were just so awful? Is that what it is?
No, Houston acknowledges, right? They acknowledged that the reason they sold out, and they haven't had a sellout in a long time, right? They're doing better. Their capacity, their stadium could seat 25,000, I believe. They averaged about 17 last year. The year before, 15. They did win the U.S. They did. They've been better the last 2 years than they have in that. So attendance is slowly ticking up, but they recognized that the reason people were coming in and the tickets were ballooning to $200 plus on the resale market. So yeah, the interest, the fan interest was obviously to watch Messi play live. And recognizing that, they are looking at this as an opportunity saying, okay, we've now got 25,000 guaranteed people to come to another game when they've got 7,000 seats vacant at every game on average.
Yeah.
That's just 3 more games that they're getting closer to a sellout if people choose to just come to those games. So I don't like the precedent. Okay. I'm going to be very blunt. I think it's no one player should be like that. Although I understand that Messi is not just any player. Okay. But at the same time, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Houston, you're trying to make something positive out of it. You're trying to give the fans a good experience. There's probably a lot of people coming with their kids, like, this is the greatest player of all time. Disappointment. Well, now they get to go to another game.
Yeah.
Okay. And
get disappointed again in the next result, possibly as well, right?
Maybe. Well, it depends on who they were rooting for. We don't know. They could have been all pink. Could have been a whole pink crowd out there.
It probably was
for what we know, right?
Yeah,
so I don't, I can't say that it was orange, pink, whatever. Who knows what color it was. There was probably a lot of Argentinian, right? Blue and white stripes.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a definite.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, it's not great, but at the same time, it's not the worst thing to happen to the league, because if this was something that suddenly began and overall attendance went up as a result of it, okay, Messi factor.
I think we all know it's the Messi factor. I mean, this is absolutely it's an undeniable factor. But is this precedent? When I say precedent, has this function ever happened in any of the other American sports? Right? Has there been a case where
absolutely
where
I'm sure. Now, I don't know off the top of my head. Whether this has happened, but I know, for example, at the heyday of Michael Jordan's era,
Bulls,
certain of classic Warrior, when the Golden State Warriors were with the Splash Brothers and all that. I'm sure there have been instances where this has happened. For an entire stadium full? No. Not that I know of. I'm sure I could do some research and find out, but I did not. You caught me. I didn't prepare that one. Thanks, Gary. Bastard. Thanks for that.
Gotcha. Touche. No, it's look, again, I think it's undeniable, the Messi factor, obviously, and I get it. Look, the same as, here in Austin, right? If when Miami come and play Austin, believe me, I'm going to that game and I am taking my son, absolutely. And believe me, we're not going to be wearing Austin shirts. He'll be wearing his Argentina or his Miami shirt, right? And I get it. That's the Messi factor.
Poor form.
Can't do that. Just there. And so I can understand. And then obviously the challenge is look, I went to the Miami game last summer, and it was just after Messi had won the Copa America and he got injured in the final. And so again, we got tickets to Miami. We went to go and see it because again, we wanted to go and see Messi, and he got injured. He rolled his ankle. He was out. There was no way he was going to play. So we knew in advance that he was not going to play. They did actually bring him out. He had hobbled onto the center circle. They presented him a trophy for winning I think it was his 35th sort of professional trophy, which was amazing. And so we knew going into that game that we would not see Messi, but we still went anyway because obviously the option there. But this, again, I can imagine this, I suppose the timing and the dynamics of it of Miami would have only divulged their squad, a couple of hours before the game in a way, and then obviously released the team as well. So it would have come as a shock. So it was not telegraphed and said, Messi isn't playing, guys, just so you know, right? So you can make that point. But yeah, as I say, it's just, it gives the fans a lot of leverage all of a sudden, because then you can say, well, LAFC, for example, like Olivier Giroud didn't start, and obviously he's a big star. He's a big World Cup winning star as well.
No,
obviously, there's Giroud factor.
I'm a big fan of Giroud and his facial hair, but no.
But do you see how that's
a poor analogy.
But do you see how this precedent it can morph and sort of change, and all of a sudden, and obviously we talk about, I'm not going to say fan power, but all of a sudden, like, does it get to the point where you don't like the result and you don't like the outcome, so I want a refund or I want to sort of another ticket for the next game? It's just suddenly this is a slippery slope it gets into, or am I maybe reading into this too much?
There is the potential of a slippery slope, but I also think that everybody knows that you purchase a ticket to a sporting event. There is no guarantee. There's no guarantee for anything. You don't know if your team's going to win. You don't know if, no, that's just acknowledged. And you should also note that on your ticket, it all says that. All right.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
No matter what it is, you could talk about fan power. There is no fan power. The tickets indemnify. No, trust me.
Yeah,
it's there. You don't see it, you don't read it, but it's there. There's indemnification in all those tickets. Houston doing this was a goodwill gesture. They didn't have to.
That's what
this
it is.
Was a goodwill gesture, and
that's
so
a way to bump their gate receipts and the sort of their attendance and just drive engagement. Really, that's kind of the key to it, right? Yeah,
exactly. Okay. And they were like one of the first teams to have Miami visit, so therefore they're kind of the canary in the coal mine. It does put in some awkwardness for future clubs. Like, what does that mean when Miami comes in? Are we going to have to do that? This is also the second game of the season. They've got gajillions of games to fill.
And as we've established, Messi
towards the end of the season, you're not going to be able to do that.
And Messi's going to get managed. And as we've established here, he's going to get his game time managed in a way. So he's not going to be performing in all of those things. I wonder if he's got clauses in his contract as well, where I can opt out and you can't penalize me. And I'm sure he's got all of these things covering, but it's fascinating. It's just fascinating sort of how this sort of how it's evolving, right? And you're exactly right. Further in the middle of the season, and then obviously once they have to stop for the World Club Cup, and then obviously sort of get that and then get back up and going. It's just an interesting development as in this still very nascent sort of league. And obviously clearly we both agree there's a lot more growth in the MLS to happen in terms of engagement, watching, and sort of talent and sort of viewership and those things. So it's a fascinating sort of just sort of development really, which will be interesting to track. So yeah.
Very
okay
cool.
Speaking of developments to track, because of you and your wonderful sort of writing on obviously sort of these developments in the MLS, I have suddenly become an avid San Diego FC fan. I am rooting for them. Oh my God. That was the first result I came, and when I was sort of got a chance to, I was
bandwagon alert.
Absolutely. In my defense, game 2 of their entire sort of history. So you have to start somewhere, but it's a wonderful, wonderful story. I know they didn't obviously get the result against Louis, but it was they've gone this season unbeaten as an upstart franchise. This is again, they are the sort of the Nottingham Forest of the MLS this season so far. And again, I get the 2 games in.
It's so early to say that.
They are, but it's a wonderful fairy tale story so far. Again, as you say, 2 games into the season, we've still got a long road ahead, and I could end up. This clip could be resurfaced in a few months' time. They really have shit the bed.
Let me ask
mark
you
this and timestamp it. Yeah.
Now that you're San Diego FC's biggest fan, what significant event occurred at that? Well, there's 2 significant events that occurred at that game. Both of which are negative, but one of which occurred to a player. Can you tell me what happened?
I cannot. I mean, I cannot answer that question directly. So why don't you educate us?
So San Diego FC lost their designated player, Chucky. Out.
I noticed. Okay. Yes.
Injured. He pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
He pulled up without any contact. It was a non-contact, injury,
mm-hmm.
and so that was bad for the club. And he's older. He's 31. Still, but he has a history of getting injured a lot.
Yeah.
One, because he's very reckless. He goes in hard, and so he sometimes causes his own injuries. And he tends to not manage himself very well in games, like stops that tries to go 100% sprints and things like that. So that may be what happened. I don't know any details about what type of injury it is, how long it's going to be, but that did happen. Yeah. And then there was, of course, the other incident, which I'm sure you know about.
Well, then I'm just sort of confirming. Yeah, Chucky pulled his hamstring. So yeah, so as a 29-year-old, and the hamstrings, they.
Oh, is he 29?
Yeah, he's 29.
My apologies.
Yeah.
My apologies, Irving. I misstated your age. That's a terrible thing to do. I recognize.
But no. But look, again, it's early season as well. Yeah, this is a fitness thing, and obviously these things can reoccur. And again, so hamstrings are generally like 2 to 4 weeks out, depending on how severe it is. The other thing that shocked me about that game as well was just the sheer domination by San Diego, right? The possession, they had 72% possession and 15 shots on goal, but only managed to have 1 shot on target and obviously 1 goal. So it's again, they are they came in, they dominated that game. I know they didn't get the results and get the win, but it was encouraging. It was encouraging for sure. Okay. And then any other games that you want to sort of touch on, Qooligan, while we're sort of talking about? I know there's one.
No, I think that the only other one that I didn't really cover in my article was just the absolute insanity of the DC United game. Just damn. It was a draw. Chicago Fire was hosting DC, but DC scored in the 96th minute.
Yeah,
off a bicycle kick from an academy signing.
Yeah, Jacob Murrell, right? Yeah,
Jacob Murrell. I mean, like, what the hell? I saw when I saw the video. I didn't see the video when I wrote my article. I didn't have access, and I had not seen the video. Otherwise, I would have absolutely promoted it as a boom. I was
special banger, absolute
I
banger.
thought I got goosebumps. I was like, damn, that was awesome.
That was
just
fantastic.
Absolutely awesome. So, that was a good one. And then, and then looking at general trends, Philadelphia Union looked real strong. I mean, just so 2 games in, admittedly, 2 games in, it's early to say, but they look really good. San Jose Earthquakes. I mean, wow. They looked sharp. They were playing with 10 men.
Yeah, I saw that.
They played with 10 men for like almost 40 minutes and didn't lose.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what universe I'm in.
I think sometimes in those kind of situations, sometimes having player off does actually give you a little bit of an advantage. Sometimes maybe there's a bit more space on the pitch. I know we discussed this a little bit before, but it does.
Adrenaline.
It's adrenaline. It's adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Maybe it's just there is a sort of an unknown quantification. It's kind of a bit like when you're playing pool and you get to take a couple of balls off the table. You just have a bit more room to sort of make some shots and get them around, right? And then
good analogy.
Yeah.
Why not snooker? Why not snooker?
I was going to say snooker, or I could have gone with billiards as well. I was going to go billiards as well, but again, I think I need to.
Well, let's just say this: if you're clearing the ball off the table in billiards, then you're a terrible shot because you're bouncing it off the table.
This is true. This is true. But yeah, for the snooker context as well, it's there. Okay, and then and just in terms of bouncing around sort of the MLS as well. I mean, LA Galaxy still, obviously, again, I know only 2 match is in as well, but obviously they lost to Vancouver, as we know, but they're sitting at the bottom of the standings as well. Again, I think obviously the class will probably prevail here and come through. So I don't think this is not a Manchester United style meltdown in a way or anything to get sort of overexcited about, but it definitely is noticeable that the sort of current reigning sort of, MLS Cup champions have got off to a really bad start in the MLS for the beginning of the season.
I mean, these things happen. You have to wait and see. But if this trend continues 3, 4, 5 games, they're going to be in trouble because, it's not going to. You can bounce back, but it just doesn't make any sense. It's all topsy turvy.
Yeah,
it's the Whitecaps and the Earthquakes.
Yeah, Earthquakes
in
up
1
there
and
as
2.
well. Yeah, it's.
Dude, I mean, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it. And then let's wrap up on the other final MLS game, obviously, which we wanted to discuss. And I know you obviously feature quite heavily in your article as well, which is, of course, was the.
That picture is so.
It was fantastic,
so good,
and so good. And again, just to clarify, obviously, as I go on my own journey and sort of delve into the MLS and sort of get closer to it and sort of familiar with it, obviously. So just for context, Wilfried Zaha, who's obviously your beloved Crystal Palace sort of ex player. He's I think a youth that came through the youth system as well at Palace as well. Yeah, he's an academy grad. And so Wilfried Zaha, Palace. Then he got signed by Manchester United. It didn't work out. He went back to Palace, and then he sort of was a bit of a journeyman, bounced around, ended up going to Turkey to play for Galatasaray, if my memory serves me correctly.
Still plays for Galatasaray.
And then he's been loaned to Charlotte. He's been loaned to Charlotte, and obviously they're being smart about it by managing their finances. I imagine want to check him out, and so he had a start, and he won. He just lit it up. He was just dominated completely. He looked very, very good.
He dominated in the second half. They did a good job of containing him in the first half. He didn't have that many touches, didn't do that much, right? He was kind of a non-factor. But when that second half came on, he just kind of found a little space, and he got the assist for the first goal.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a friendly assist because I think he was trying to strike it, and then it deflected off somebody's foot onto the path of the eventual goal scorer. And then that second goal was just, no, it doesn't matter. I know, it's all good.
It all counts, yeah.
And then, and then a lovely second goal and one man of the match, which is why we have him on the article wearing the crown, because in Charlotte, when they're at home and they win, they crown a man of the match with they have a special crown that they do, and it's just one of their traditions, one of those little traditions that most of these MLS clubs have.
Do you know where it came from, or what was what sort of why I know obviously sort of their
so Charlotte is called the Queen City,
of course, and they have
so it was because it was named after Queen Charlotte, right? So then there it is. So Queen City, Queen Charlotte. They also, before games, they acknowledge like civic leaders and people from the community, and they'll crown them in pregame ceremonies. It's just something they've done, and it's just that's all it is.
No, it's
and
really
the crown is on their crest, and there's a whole bunch of crown stuff.
So that's the Queen City, and obviously they have the crown. No, it's a wonderful tradition, and again, I imagine if you're Wilfried Zaha, again coming from Turkey and sort of where you've been, where they have like intense atmospheres at the stadium, suddenly to coming to beautiful Charlotte as well, where the weather's fantastic, and then all of a sudden getting serenaded.
Let's just be a little careful with the phrase "beautiful Charlotte." It's a perfectly fine city, but yeah.
Well, I'm sure fans and listeners from Charlotte FC will be unsubscribing rapidly after that comment, or just sending hate speech and abuse on Blue Sky Next, where you have your accounts as well. And then interesting, the other one on that lineup as well, obviously it was kind of the you call it the Wilf against Miggy, or the Zaha against because Miguel Almiron, obviously, who'd come from Newcastle, was obviously sort of featuring in his second game back for a second stint at Atlanta.
And looked good, I might add. He could have very easily netted a brace in the first half. He was electric and put two really good shots in on tight angles. The keeper did a good job keeping him out. And then, so when Miggy sort of tailed off in the second half, that's when Wilf picked up. But Miggy was definitely the better player in the first half, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So I go 1-1 Miggy versus Wilf. We'll see what happens later on.
We'll see what happens in sort of future contests as well. But yeah,
correct.
It's interesting to see. Well done, Charlotte, and obviously well played there, Wilfried Zaha. Okay, and then finally wrapping up the other sort of chapter as well that we wanted to cover off is obviously we had the FA Cup fifth round.
Let's jump the pond. Let's jump the pond.
Jump the pond and not
head
a
on that
tank.
Concorde and fly back to England.
Concorde is deprecated, unfortunately now.
I know the Concorde is deprecated, Gary. There is no supersonic jet, but God, throw me a bone.
God,
here.
it's
Jesus.
just I think let's see.
We're just right at each other today, man. This is
spicy.
It's a rough pod. This is a rough pod.
There we go. Hey, there we go. Keeps it interesting. So we had the fifth round of the FA Cup, which was obviously happened on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and also wrapped up on Monday.
That's correct.
Your beloved Palace won 3-1 against Millwall, we saw, and obviously I think we were commenting on it internally as well, that it was beforehand we were saying how it was probably going to be a sort of a fight with a little bit of soccer breaking out, and wow, there was that clip from that Millwall goalkeeper who absolutely nailed with his boot to the face that Palace striker, right, which was
I don't think anybody, even Millwall fans, can't be like, oh, that didn't deserve an immediate red card. It was the very definition of a dangerous tackle.
It
right?
was.
It was and endangering. I actually think Mateta was lucky to only emerge with 25 stitches and to heal up the side of the face that got struck. He managed to turn his head away at the right time to avoid getting the full impact of the boot doing any significant damage that could have happened. It was rough.
It was rough.
That was not easy. It was, as to its unnecessariness, I will say this, and Liam Roberts is being, I don't think he intended to do it. I want to be very clear, right? That when you watch what happened in real time, he was genuinely going for the ball. Should he have gone for the ball like that? Probably not. But we all played. If anybody who's played the game knows that you do certain things. Sometimes you're like, Jesus, I can't believe I did that. That was bad. And that's one of those things where you're like, I can't believe I did that. That was not advisable, and it was not advisable. And unfortunately, Mateta was on the receiving end of the the studs to the face. Listen, you don't have to just completely, crucify the poor kid,
Brain
right?
the guy, yeah.
I mean,
well,
just like acknowledge he made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yes, thankfully, Mateta, appears to be okay. We hope that he makes a full recovery. All right, move it on.
Move it on. Move it on.
You don't have to like say he should be imprisoned. You don't have to say
that was unnecessary. That was unnecessary. Again,
that's just
rash decision. He's going to get the punishment for it. Yeah, as I say,
and that's the question: is exactly how much punishment is he going to get? Right? Because would be normally a 3-card ban, but they can at discretion.
Ban, yeah, they can increase it 5, as well.
7.
Yeah, if you can sit. But
and
again,
I would not be surprised if they do that. They could, because just to send a message like, don't do stupid stuff like that.
Well, that's, again, as you said, I don't think it was intentional. And again, it's just a rush of blood to the head.
So.
Stupid decision, bad mistake, and it came off, and it was unfortunate, right? So that's,
And I mean, and you got to understand that there probably have been occurrences in Millwall Crystal Palace games where people really did intend to do that.
They have, yeah, that's true.
That's just given the history between the two clubs, and so I don't think this classifies as that.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So that means Palace, who obviously were successful and obviously beat Millwall 3-1, go through to the quarterfinals now of the FA Cup, which is exciting for you guys.
Very exciting. Very thrilled.
And it looks like you're going to be facing Fulham, who managed to get it to penalties. I mean, get it to penalties and knock Man United out on penalties. So again, it's Manchester United with another cup exit and another loss, which is these are, I know it's. Are you happy because Palace have to face Fulham in the quarterfinal, or are you happy for the fact that Manchester United are really just tail spinning here at the moment?
I don't think Fulham was the best draw we could have had, but I also think Fulham is a team that is beatable. So yeah, no, I'm completely satisfied with that. I really wanted to have Brighton.
Why? Why? Yeah.
I think it would have been, because it's, a quarterfinal gets your other, against with one of your derby teams. It's just great, right? Like two straight derbies in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. That's good stuff. Now, I mean, you got Fulham, you got the London rivalry between Fulham and Crystal Palace. But as London rivalries go, that's a tame one. I mean, there's really no beef there other than geography. But well done, Fulham. I mean, really, I'm extraordinarily pleased that Manchester United finally got some karmic comeuppance for the sheer robbery that they inflicted upon the last two teams they played.
Yeah, they played Everton in one of their games, so they got lucky. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they got lucky. But yeah, it's again, Man United's. I think. Yeah, we'll probably spend more time talking about them on the Premier League pod, what we'll do later on this week as well. But it's a fascinating story about just how Man United are just unable to just string it together and get some results, which is fascinating. But anyway,
yeah, they had 67,000 people in that stadium that got really angry.
Yeah. There
was a lot of anger after that.
That was, you can imagine as well. Then I think it's understandable as well, right? And Sam, who obviously did sort of the wrap up as well, I thought one of the best comments that made me laugh in his article was how Jim Radcliffe was saying that our ticket prices are less than Fulham's, justifying raising the prices, and the comment was, well, now you understand. It was brilliant that now you understand why Man United ticket prices are less than Fulham's, because they're not as good as them. It was brilliant. It was very good. Okay, and then I think, well, the one draw I think that you were probably fortunate to avoid, obviously, was not getting Man City, because I think they are probably now.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
absolutely. Anybody who doesn't get Man City, they're the last behemoth in the group, right?
Yeah.
Of all the, when you look at this and you look at the teams that are still in, I mean, it's I'm not going to say it's a triumph for the minnows, but it is a triumph for the smaller club, right? For the non-Big Six. There's only one of the Big Six.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. There's one Big Six club in the FA Cup, and there's 8 teams standing.
Yeah.
That is unusual.
Yeah. Because normally in these instances, you've got basically the way the draws go. You could have had sort of the Big Six getting to the quarterfinals and start facing each other as well. But it's open, so you could make the argument that Man City will probably be licking their lips here and saying we can actually walk away with a trophy here. Again, not that it's guaranteed or sort of certified, but you are going to have probably some other team in the final that you would not traditionally expect to have in the final, right? Which is
highly likely. Yeah,
well, it's definite. It's a certainty. So it will be interesting. I mean, you could have a Man City Palace final, which would be fascinating to get Palace to an FA Cup.
We're going to win because final. we always show up against City. We do.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace has one of the best records. Like if you look at records going back to like the last 5-6 seasons. Crystal Palace is one of the best head-to-head records against them.
As we've discussed before many times, magic of the FA Cup, isn't it? There it is. There is the magic. Also, as well, what is interesting to see is you've got Championship side Preston going up against Aston Villa, and obviously Preston that Burnley Preston game is obviously the only game where they were non-Premier League teams facing up against each other. So again, wonderful to see that you have a Championship team into the quarterfinals. They get to go and play Aston Villa. My feeling is that they'll probably get turned over against Aston Villa, although they are at home, so they do have some advantage, which is part of it. And I believe it's just one.
They're not playing Aston Villa. Aston Villa's out
in the FA Cup.
Wait, sorry, I forgot. Friday. There's Friday's fixture. I forgot about that one. Yeah. I see. That's how forgettable that game was, Gary. That I completely forgot that Aston Villa were still in it.
Well, that was it. Yeah.
That was just.
They kind of.
I really thought Cardiff was going to bring it, and they disappointed me.
No, you called it. You called that one wrong.
They disappointed me.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, another bump call from the Qooligan as well. Yeah,
I know. know.
Yeah.
If you put money on that, you were an idiot.
Well, or if you listen to you as well, you could probably say
you were an idiot.
Well. Yep.
Idiot twice, maybe. If you listen to me and put money on it, shame on you. That's twice you're an idiot.
This is definitely not financial advice. Absolutely, yes.
Oh, hell no. No.
And then the other one as well, you got Forest Brighton sort of matching up. Forest obviously sort of beat Ipswich. Surprisingly, they had to draw and they went to penalties as well, which was a surprising one. I think
Forest escaped by the skin of their chins, man.
They did. They had a lot of shots, but the possession was pretty evenly matched as well, just looking at the statistics of it as well. But again, they got lucky and then obviously it went to penalties and they did get lucky through that. I think, look, any team, there's often this narrative, isn't there, that like, penalties are actually a really cruel way to decide the outcome of a match. But I mean, obviously, I don't think there's any other way that you can do it. If you've gone 90 minutes and then an extra 30 minutes of extra time, you have to draw a line.
Not without risking injury to players, because at some point you just can't go on, and someone's going to end up getting hurt as a result doing that. So you have to have it. It's as good as anyone. It's as good as any other thing, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we know who the quarterfinals are of Brighton against Nottingham Forest, Fulham against Palace, Preston against Villa, and then you've got Bournemouth against Man City. I suspect we're probably going to have Man City in the final unless Bournemouth. But again, Bournemouth are very, very capable of turning Man City over, right?
They are. They are capable of it. I mean, I think. I'm going to obviously listen. I'm going to go with Palace over. I got to go with Palace over. Palace over Fulham. Have to. Just no way around it.
Yeah.
And you said Forest is playing.
Forest are playing against Brighton.
Brighton.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Brighton's been so good lately.
Yeah, pretty open.
Brighton's been so good, and Forest have been stumbling. So, I think that the game against Ipswich is indicative of just how far that they've sort of come off that pace that was so amazing.
Around the crucible period, as you called it, Christmas. They dominated. They were so good. Yeah, so good.
They were clicking. It was gorgeous, and it was dynamic, and they kind of lost a little bit of that. I think you have to give an edge to Brighton on that, and that head to head, and then Villa Preston. I mean, I'm going to go underdog. I
want to see it.
Burnley. Burnley. So let's talk a little bit about this, because Burnley, apparently they sat some players. Okay. So hold on a second. I'm going to cough and mic off.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So Burnley There we go. But I mean, Burnley are riding high at the Championship as well, so they, they're sort of in third place. Obviously, they're still chasing that automatic promotion to get up into the Premier League. So, yeah, they.
I think Scott Parker strategically thought, I'm going to put a team on that's not going to be all academy kids, but I want to rest some of my A players because we've got a long, hard road to make sure that we can get ourselves to where we really want to be, which is back in the Prem.
Yeah, exactly. You want to prioritize that, and they're in the position.
You got to prioritize because financially speaking,
yeah,
the promotion to Premier League is so much more important than any trophy that you're going to win.
Of course.
And the FA Cup is nice.
Yeah.
But the Premier League is money.
It is that Championship playoff game to get into that Premier League. It's billed as actually the biggest game in the world because the prize money is just so massive, and just the sheer chasm of cash that gets put into your bank account because of even if you go up one season and then finish 20th like Southampton have done and go back down. The money, the windfall as well, and I think they have parachute payments as well. I think you're sort of, I don't know the exact figures, but I know you're going to be sort of taking home 20-30 million, and that's before sort of all the increased TV from the TV rights and revenue as well. So it's billed as
for a team like Preston, who have no chance of promotion,
they go for it. Yeah,
this is their time.
Put together a cup run, right?
This is their moment.
Yeah,
they need, and that's why I think they could shock Villa.
Yeah, we'll shall
if they're at home, Villa has to travel, and as we know, Villa have been good,
well,
but not consistently good. So if the bad Villa shows up, Preston has this golden opportunity to suddenly go into that Final Four and be like, great.
And also as well, I think you made the point as well in terms of prioritization. Villa are fighting on three fronts, right? They've got obviously they had the result against yesterday in the Champions League. Who did they beat?
They did against Brugge.
Brugge, that's it, right?
The 3-1. It turned out to be a comfortable 3-1 victory.
Comfortable, so yeah, and we expected that when we discussed it on the last episode, and we'd expect that.
I was hoping to see a little bit more on Brugge, and had they been more clinical in their finishing, that would have been something else. But let's put a pin in that Champions League stuff for another time.
Yeah, I agree. And then obviously they want to keep and get back into the top 5 for the Champions League again next season because they've had a good run and they're there. And then of course there's the FA Cup. So there are 3 fronts. So in terms of prioritization, I think you want to probably prioritize Premier League, Champions League, and then FA Cup will be sort of third. But ideally you want to go for everything, right? But it's
you have to go for everything. But you're right, in your hierarchy of need, that's third.
Yeah, I agree. Wonderful. Well, Qooligan, as always, we've bounced around the world, the wonderful world of soccer with all the activities going on. We're going to be back again on Friday, and we will do a Premier League and MLS sort of insight into obviously the games coming up and some of the narratives and the storylines and some of the juiciness that's going on there. So until then, Qooligan, thank you as always, and I'll speak again on Friday.
Absolutely. Peace out.
Peace.